Today I want to talk with you about starting out, young adults just starting out. Hopefully you'll think of this as a grandfatherly or avuncular, uncle like advice, and if you're an older person listening to this, maybe you'll pass it on to your 20-something person that you know. First, in terms of choosing a career, very often that matters not that much. Obviously, if you're a word person or a people person, you don't want something that's going to have you isolated and requiring a lot of technical skills, and vice versa. But usually most important is to use your connections. Good jobs, unfortunately, don't just go to the people who apply online. If you've got family or friends, use them. I know there's a tendency for young people to want to say, I can do it myself, I don't want to rely on my parents. But it's usually not a bad idea to let them open the door. Then you have to walk in and you have to make the most of it, but let them open the door, for starters. You'll do that for your kids as well. If you have to apply for a job the traditional way, just answering an ad, it is a long shot. It is true. So you really need to apply only for the jobs that are a great fit, and then do a little something to make your application stand out. Point by point, say how you're a good fit for the job in a cover letter, and if there's no form for a cover letter, just append it to your resume. You might want to add a little something like a one-page list of bullets saying, if you're applying, for example, to be a management trainee of some sort, write down what you believe the 5 keys are to being a good manager. Think of your best ideas and also maybe Google it to Google management or management tips and pick the favorite few that you have. That can often tip the scales. And then when you interview, prepare for the interview by learning enough about the company or the product or the nonprofit that you sound like you're knowledgeable and care about that product. You're not just scattershotting. A key to success, and it makes me seem like a hard ass, but it's what I really believe, is to think efficiently. Everything you do, try to think of how can I do this quickly and yet reasonably. Everything, from your morning ritual to how you tackle a project at work, even to your recreation. Do you really need to watch a football game for 4 hours? What will get you the kind of break and recreation and fun without sucking up so much time, and that way you're able to not be rushing and to be able to do more at work. And I believe profoundly that the meaning of life is well defined by how productive you are. So if you can accept that and not just the pursuit of happiness is the goal, you'll be less likely to procrastinate. Now a word about communication. People tend to be long-winded, and forgive me, this podcast format lends itself, requires me to be somewhat long-winded, but when I'm communicating with people, I tend to think of conversations as a ping-pong game, back and forth, back and forth. I don't give long speeches. I try to be concise and make sure that I'm not giving lots of details that may be interesting to me, but may not be interesting to the other person. I like to follow the traffic light rule, which is that during the first 30 seconds of an utterance, my light's green, they're listening. Second 30 seconds, they're starting to wish I shut up. Maybe they were overwhelmed. They might be thinking I'm too much of a chatterbox. And at the 60-second mark, I really better shut up unless I'm telling a very interesting story. They can always ask for more. The other key to communication that I want to mention is try, where possible, to be face-saving to people. People hate feeling bad about themselves. And if you're communicating to make them feel bad, so for example, if you're bragging or you're being too critical, it's going to inhibit communication and relationship. Doesn't mean you can't give negative feedback, but try to do it in a face-saving way, what I call couching, saying, I'm not sure I'm right, but I'm wondering whether you might blah, whatever blah is, and then end with the powerful words, what do you think? That tends to be face-saving, and you can still be somewhat critical. Now a word about relationships. Some people just kind of expect relationships to happen. And certainly there's nothing wrong with solohood and deciding that this is not a good time for a relationship. The genders are so polarized now that sometimes it may be wise to go it alone, at least for a while. Solohood is not necessarily a bad option. And either not having kids is not necessarily a bad option, depending upon who you are. But if you want a relationship, you really should be quite purposeful. And while the ads are, people who use the apps of course, have a lot of horror stories, a lot of lying, a lot of wasted time. But I think if you just follow these few basic principles, you can take advantage of the fact that there are millions of people on those apps, and therefore you can curate very carefully. So, number one, make your profile honest. The goal is not the most responses. The goal is to get the ones that are a good fit. And the example I like to use is I like to work, and I work long hours, unusually long hours. So I would want to say in my profile that I do work 70 hours a week, and so that a partner who is looking for lots and lots of time together has got the wrong partner in me. Somebody who's got their own rich life would say, "Oh, great, and we can come together only when in smaller bits." And then I recommend using the apps that you do the reaching out. That way you can do the curation instead of being grateful when somebody finally gets to you and you respond and it may not be such a good fit. You do the one who's reaching out. And have very high standards. And if they don't respond within 24 hours, that's a bad sign. Sure, it's possible that it was an anomaly, but a lot of fish in the sea. If their response seems too egotistical or stupid, or they're physically unattractive, whatever, they seem mean, or cut your losses. Whether it be in that first text that you feel is wrong, or in that first coffee. People don't change that readily. Even psychotherapists know that people don't change that readily. Cut your losses. Have high standards. And really, I believe that the most important attributes in a person, of course, there's the sexual attraction thing, but kindness is very important. Intelligence is important so that you can have reasonable arguments. A person who's not screwed up so you can have reasonable arguments. And I believe it's important that both parties, male and female, or if in a gay relationship, both partners, doesn't matter, contribute significant income. That it becomes empowering to both parties in the relationship, and also it's very hard to make it on one income certainly in most coastal cities. Now a word about weight. I have not been overly successful in controlling my weight, but I've written so much about it and thought about it. These are my best advice. And I'm not sure it's going to work, but it's better than nothing. Certainly no diets tend to not work because they're yo-yoing, but try to rehearse what you're going to eat right before you're about to eat, or before you're starting to prepare something to eat, or before you're going out. Rehearse what you want to eat. You'll probably, in rehearsing, that'll help you decide that you're not going to, have 3 pieces of bread if you go out to eat instead of, you'd have only one, or that you're going to split a dessert instead of having the whole thing. Just keeping it moderate. Also keeping trouble foods out of the house. I'm not perfect at this. I love cheese, and I have cheese. 2 out of 3 times in the supermarket I'm able to avoid buying cheese, but 1 out of 3 times I buy the cheese. So, forgive yourself. Do the best you can. Stay moderate. It's going to avoid the yo-yoing, and you'll probably be reasonable. And then if you can, try to stay conscious as you're eating, right before you're starting to eat. Remind yourself about your plan, about what you want to eat, and then try to stay conscious so that you don't eat until you're stuffed. You just eat until a reasonable amount. A word about investing rather than spending. It's been often said, but it's true, and I believe it. You can't spend your way to happiness, and it's comforting to have a nest egg. So, find your pleasures without big spending. I'm amazed when I go out and I see drinks are $12, $14. That's crazy for a drink. Salads are $10, $12. It's nuts. See if you can, go to the little hole in the walls rather, or instead of going out to some fancy event, invite friends over to your place for, popcorn, a glass of wine, or whatever. Watch videos. They're amazing that you can. When I was growing up, you go to the movies, and at a specific time. Now you can watch any of hundreds of movies when you want in the comfort of your own home for an $8.95 a month Netflix subscription, or $3 on Amazon, Prime or whatever. don't spend, invest. I'm not a financial advisor, but most advisors would agree that for many people, the smartest thing to do is try to put a certain amount each month automatically taken out of your paycheck and put into your employer's 401k plan, 403b, whatever your employer's got. And one of the best investments is what's called an all-in-one fund. Two of the famous ones that are really well regarded are BlackRock LifePath and Vanguard all-in-one funds. And they come in different flavors. Pick the one that matches your level of risk tolerance. More stock, more bonds, etc. Generally, when you're young, they say invest more in stock because they've done better over the long run. But if you can't sleep at night, you may want to choose one that's got more bonds because bonds are less volatile. And the last thing I want to talk about is finding peace of mind. My best thoughts on finding peace of mind: work hard. If you're working hard, you're feeling good about yourself, you're being productive, and you're distracted from your woes. And I don't believe in work hard, play hard. I work hard, play easy. Doing the things that are easy and relaxing and fun. If it's a sport, great. If it's playing a video game, fine. I am not a big fan of substances. I've seen too many lives ruined because of alcohol and weed, not to mention stronger stuff. I'll have a glass of wine occasionally, but especially if you're prone to addiction, there aren't a lot of happy weed or alcohol addicts. See if you can find other things to be fun recreations, creative outlets, music, art, writing, getting together with friends, exercise, whatever. Another key to peace of mind is to do what you can, what you control, and then let go of what you can't. It's easy to say, but I've had over 6,000 clients, and I do my absolute best with every client. But when they leave, I don't worry about them. I don't think about them. It's out of my control. We always end up with a homework assignment for the client to work on, and a lot of times they do it. Sometimes they don't. I can't worry about it, or if they like me or not. Most of my clients like me an awful lot, but there are some that don't, and I just have to shrug my shoulders. I've done my best. I'm not going to please everybody. Letting go of what you can't control is a good thing. It helps your peace of mind. And finally, do some things to comfort yourself. I'm a musician, and it's not so much playing the piano that comforts me. So I always have a little song rolling around in my head. I find myself, even when I'm waking up in the morning, I was singing to myself, humming, which is rolling around my head, Arrivederci Roma, for no reason. But it's comforting to have a song in your hiking. For me, having a doggie and petting my doggie. I take these little micro breaks. They're very comforting, much more than a long vacation stresses me out. Because there's all that work that piles up that has to get done when I get back, and all the preparation, vacation, and the travel hassles. I take lots of little breaks. I take lots of little breaks to even, to walk the dog, go shopping with the dog. We take a walk down to Trader Joe's. There was this book by Marie Kondo, the Pleasures or whatever of cleaning up or something like that. I find cleaning up comforting. Even cleaning the toilets doesn't bother me a whole lot. I don't like vacuuming because of the noise, but cleaning the sink, even cleaning, I have white kitchen tile floors. Getting those floors spotless is silly, but it feels good. So whatever is going to comfort you. I love taking a warm shower. I have tons of clothes, but I like wearing, this is my favorite little, in the winter, I like wearing this particular sweater. I like this color. I like the way it feels on me. I wear the same thing a lot. Feels good. Small little things to give yourself pleasure. I use essential oils. I have a little diffuser that comforts me. I like candles. Beeswax candles. They're very healthy and they're not paraffin, and they're comforting. So do the little simple things that are going to comfort you. Anyway, that's the world's shortest course in starting out. A little brief summary. So in choosing a career, prioritize using connections rather than trying to come up with the perfect career. Landing a job, add a little bonus to your applications when you're applying, but certainly apply to on-target jobs. Would it be a little list of bullets of the things that you believe make for a good manager or whatever, your HR person or whatever it is you're doing. Think efficiently, that is, do things quickly, but reasonably, not so much that you're making lots of mistakes. Communicate crisply. Short bursts, no long bursts. Try to make people feel good about themselves and what you say. Think twice before making people feel bad. Certainly bragging doesn't make people feel good about themselves. In relationships, you got to be purposeful and curate carefully. Focus on, in addition to sexual attraction, find people that are kind and smart, reasonably well adjusted, and contribute some income so that it's not all on you, because it's too hard to do that. With regard to weight, rehearse what you're going to eat. That can help, and try to stay conscious while you're eating, and forgive yourself your trespasses. Everybody cheats a little bit, and it's more likely to keep your weight reasonable if you're not going on some crash diet temporarily, because few people can stay with that their whole life. Don't be an overspender. Find your happiness in relationships and creative outlets. Take the money and invest it in your employer's 401k plan. Retirement plan is very tax advantaged, or an IRA, and consider using an index fund that matches your risk tolerance, like the aforementioned Vanguard All-in-One Fund or BlackRock LifePath Fund. And then I believe the keys to peace of mind are working hard, because it makes you feel productive and distracts you from your woes. Relaxed playing that is not too stressful for you, and certainly, in my judgment, avoid substances. And importantly, let go of what you can't control. Do what you can, let go of what you can't control. And then comfort yourself with little simple pleasures, whatever they may be. They certainly don't need to be candles or diffusers, essential oil diffusers like me, but whatever is going to comfort you. In any event, I like to end all these podcasts by saying that something that I believe is more important now than ever. We find comfort among those who agree with us, growth among those who don't.